Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Happy 5 p.m. Eastern. It is me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, joined here as I am every Wednesday for your happy hump day installment of pro wrestling punditry. It's our good friend, comedian Brian Wohl. Brian, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
So glad to be back. I missed you guys last week, but I was having fun making videos with the Try Guys, and hopefully they'll be coming out soon.
Were you doing a mukbang, Biwo?
No, this was something a little different. It was outside of my wheelhouse.
Oh, and you're not allowed to talk about it, I'm taking it.
No, they're like, now they have NDAs and stuff. It's so weird to like have friends that have employees and contracts and
Sure.
all that. It's like the same stuff we were doing when we were young, and now it's just organized.
Good. Well,
Speaking of the same stuff we were doing when we were young, Battle for the Belts. Did you see this? Battle of the Belts? Very much like you and I did Battle for the Belt back in Chicago years ago.
Oh, that's true. We should sue Tony Khan. We could probably make a mint,
I don't know, man. I bet you he's got his own version of Jerry McDevitt.
Oh, sure. Oh,
who's the AEW Jerry McDevitt?
We haven't found out yet. We'll find out in time. He'll reveal himself. So, well, Biwo's here. I'm here. You're here. You guys are welcome to jump to the chat room wherever you're at. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. We see here Antonio Garcia. Hello, everyone. Samantha. Hi, Antonio. Elizabeth Fox. Hello, everyone. Yes, we're going to have a great time here today. We're going to talk all the news of the past 24 hours. Later on in the show, if you're in audio form, you're going to hear my latest conversation with Filthy Tom Lawler, one of the hottest free agents in pro wrestling right now. And then later on in the show, at the end of the show for everybody, we're going to dive in the mailbag, and we are going to look at, what are we looking at today? We're like, who should replace Moxley in the AEW Eliminator tournament, which is where we're going to start here today with news you can use, news that will leave a bruise. Definitely some bruising news here. Breaking in the wee hours of the morning here. Tony Khan starting the day off tweeting, Jon Moxley has allowed me to share with you that he's entering an inpatient alcohol treatment program. Jon is a beloved member of the AEW family. We all stand with him and Renee and all of his family and friends as he shifts his focus to recovery. Renee's taken to Twitter, thanked everybody for the outpouring of support they're getting right now. It doesn't look like there's any time frame for when Moxley's going to be back to work. And, of course, tonight he was set to take on Orange Cassidy in the second round of the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. We're going to find out tonight who his replacement's going to be. CM Punk out there tweeting out a gif of him slicing an orange, so maybe throwing his hat into the ring. But let's get to that second. Let's get to the first thing first, obviously. The announcement that Moxley is taking the time to deal with his alcohol issues. What's your reaction? What are your thoughts, Biwo?
I think it's tremendous that he's being open and public about it. It shows what a tremendous leader he is to talk about these things and show that he's hurting when he is hurting. And I thought it was tremendous that Tony tweeted out the support for him, tweeted out numbers and links to call in case you might be going through something. And it shows we're all susceptible to these sort of things.
Yeah, and it's really brave. I know Mick Foley tweeted out similar sentiments, talking about how brave it is for Mox to confront this. I mean, it's not hard to put yourself in this guy's shoes. It's no secret that Mox has lived, let's say, an underground lifestyle for a while, hard partying, likes to have his whiskeys, right? But now, boom, reality hits you. You got this baby around the house. You're having to juggle like business, family life, and there's a lot more at stake. It's really responsible what he's doing. It's going to be absolutely great for his family. And I'm interested to see what kind of a Moxley we get on the other side of this. I mean, it's not like it'll be that much different, I don't think, but like definitely one that's not going to be dealing with the inhibitions of alcohol anymore. And I'm sure we're going to maybe see a bit more refreshed Jon Moxley on the other side of this.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be motivated, focused, and ready to deliver. He's been tremendous his whole run in AEW, and I look forward to having him back.
Yeah, so that brings us to the Eliminator tournament here tonight. So who should replace Moxley? We'll get to the the fan
Okay.
vote here at the end. But with Moxley coming out, right? I see somebody here, Dave in Orange Cassidy gets a bye. Well, they've already said they're going to announce somebody, right?
Mhm.
If Orange wins, like, I mean, how much does this affect the plans, right? Like, it's kind of callous to say, but like, was Mox pegged to win this thing? Is Brian the one? Like, does it matter who Orange Cassidy wrestles? I personally kind of feel like somebody like a Kingston who shined in the tournament, and now there's this opening should get a second bite of the apple. Feels a little weird to me that CM Punk not winning an opening round match would just get a second round match, but I guess he's CM Punk, so I don't know. How do you feel about the tournament?
See, to me, it seems like what part of the tournament was going to lead to an eventual Moxley heel turn. And so I feel like there's still potential for a heel turn. And it seems like the one of the like C stories is Eddie Kingston and Punk coming together. And
Mm,
so I feel like if Punk enters this tournament against Cassidy, then Kingston could come in, interfere with Punk, start the issue between those two, and then Brian and Cassidy can have a great match.
I love the idea of Eddie Kingston. I won my opening round match. I earned my second round match against Brian. You come in here, you're once again just given something. I've had to continue to earn things my whole career. I don't and the other thing is like I don't even know if Kingston needs to interfere because that's really not that's not like AEW. They don't do a lot of interference stuff, right?
That's true.
If Punk is in this match with Orange Cassidy, I mean, does Punk put him over? Like, is that crazy? Is that out of the question that CM Punk would come in this situation? And, John was going to do the job for Orange and heat him up here for this match with Daniel or Brian Danielson. Do you mind doing what John was going to do? Punk seems to be a team player. I mean, I don't put out the realm of possibility. And maybe that sets up a disgruntled Punk versus Kingston. Both of them lost in their respective rounds,
Boom. How about that? I also think Miro is out there. Miro has a victory over Kingston, I believe. And so I feel
Yeah.
like Miro has quite the claim to just enter the tournament right here. And that would be a heck of a match.
Yeah, so I'll call out Dave here, of course, getting everybody all riled up in the chat room. I'll mark if Wyndham takes the spot. I mean, Bray Wyatt, technically, free agent, completely available, right? Could show up anywhere, anytime. This seems a little odd. I would think they'd have maybe more planning, but whatever. We learned yesterday from Brett Lauderdale from GCW that Bray doesn't really sound like, or Wyndham doesn't really sound like he has much interest in the Indies. So stranger things have happened, Dave. I don't blame you for calling it out.
Yeah, and Wyndham was in LA last week working on a new mask. So I feel like something's coming up.
Yeah. We also have Danny Cochran here, of course, saying bring in Braun. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh.
Yeah. Or of course Antonio Garcia calling Matt Hardy. He's got issues with Orange Cassidy as well.
Banger.
Sure, always a banger. So we'll see what happens. We do know another thing that's going to happen here tonight. Very cool news. I think this is the thing you're most excited about, Brian. The Wrestling Observer had Tony Khan on about an hour ago. So this is pretty new news, right? Now on the show, he announced that FTR is going to defend the AAA tag team titles against Aerostar and Samurai Del Sol, FKA Kalisto, when he was in WWE. And that's going to go down tonight on Dynamite. Biwo, take the floor. Why are you all excited about this one?
Man, you guys got to order your pizza on delivery. Sit down and do not miss a second of this match. I am a Lucha Underground fan, and Aerostar was fantastic in Lucha Underground. Samurai Del Sol is a two-time United States champion, and we get him and Aerostar versus, right now, some of the most fun luchadors in FTR. Man, these guys are fantastic bases for lucha wrestlers. And when you see FTR versus High Flyers, you're going to see an amazing match. And I have no doubt in my mind that all four of these guys are going to show out. So sit back, order your pizza, don't get up, don't go to the kitchen, watch this match.
Wow, Biwo with the go home there. Yeah, a couple things. First of all, there's a really good interview with Conan, and I think it's Vicky Guerrero that came out yesterday, the day before, where he was talking about FTR working down in Mexico and how great it is for them because, like, they're so over in North America and like, they're known around the world, but for them to really kind of enter that Mexican market, open themselves up to all of these new fans, right? And really kind of make a name for themselves down there. Seeing FDR kind of become this foil to the luchadors, dude, I'm with you, man. Like they're really, really good for this role, and I'm happy to see them getting this opportunity right now.
Yeah, like who would have ever thought? I wouldn't have thought that the AAA Tag Team Championships would mean this much, but they mean so much right now. They are becoming. This is like a global tag team championship right now. This is a real world tag team championship, and I hope FTR hangs on to it, and I hope they keep having all these fantastic challengers. Like I think about Aerostar and I think it was Aerostar and Phoenix versus Drago and Penta at PWG a few years ago. It was amazing. You guys, this is gonna be so good.
Well, and it's kind of interesting timing too, right? As AAA is getting more exposure on AEW TV, right? Impact kind of falling away. We don't really hear about the NWA anymore. So now we saw AAA kind of before that wave of those promotions. They're making a comeback here, right? Like they're the ones kicking down the forbidden door at the moment in AEW land.
And how fun is that? We had a little Japanese sample. Now we're going with a Mexican sample. We're going around the world. I can't wait for a British crossover.
And look, I really don't know a ton about Aerostar. I was not as big a Lucha Underground fan as you, but I do know he almost fell to his death jumping from a cage a couple of years ago and came back. I mean, that was one of the scariest falls I've ever seen for a pro wrestling show. So A, just glad he's kicking ass and doing well. But B, the other side of the coin here, Kalisto, Samurai Del Sol, happy to see him finally getting a chance, right? Like it's been so many people that hit the market in the past 18 months, right? And not everybody's really got a chance to kind of show what they can do. AEW has embraced Lucha Libre in a way that WWE just hasn't. And I think that this is a missed opportunity from WWE that AEW could really capitalize on, much like Andrade, having somebody in there that really can connect, with that audience, right? And unlike Andrade, he wears a mask, right? So that's good too, I think. Yeah, sell a lot of masks. Biwo, we lost you. You're muted. Oh man, wow. So, yeah, you're back. You're back.
Hey, all right. Sorry about that. Yeah, Samurai Del Sol. I am such a big fan. I loved him as Kalisto. I mean, dude, this guy had an amazing match with Ryback. Do not forget that. He gave Ryback like his best match. So like this guy is a tremendous addition to AEW's roster.
Yeah, 100%. So that'll be interesting to see how it plays out here tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about AEW Dynamite in the mailbag as well, because there's a couple other fun bouts that are be going on. We got some time here today. We can free flow a little bit. But lastly here, before we get to Tom Lawler, and then we'll dive into the mailbag, Post Wrestling reporting Zoe Stark. She is said to be legitimately injured. Now, last night's NXT 2.0 episode featured a backstage segment with new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Gigi Dolan and JC Jane attacking Stark in the locker room. This led to Dolan, Jane, and new NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose attacking Io Shirai until Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro made the save. Now, this was all done to explain the injury. Now, we don't know what sort of injury she's suffering from, how long she might be out of action. Of course, she was just in that hellacious match at Halloween Havoc about a week ago. Any thoughts from you, Biwo, on Zoe Stark going down here in this particular moment?
I feel terrible for Zoe Stark. I feel like she's been snake bit this whole year, and she did a great job last week at Halloween Havoc, and here we are again. She barely got to defend the tag team championships with Io Shirai,
right?
And I don't know, man. It's rough. I feel bad for her. I hope she recovers. She showed some really great flashes, and the few times we got to see her wrestle. So I hope she recovers very quickly.
Can we talk real quick before we get to Tom Lawler, since we do have a little time here today, about last night's NXT? Like, what was this show? What is this show? Like, is this? It's a review now, right? It's not it's a review. It's a total It's like they got some kids right out of Second City's writing program doing this thing, BWO. I mean, it's like a theatrical review now. Do you agree, disagree? What did you think of NXT last night?
Yeah, it's weird because there's so many scenes backstage and there's so much talking, and these people are not that great at the talking. You know, you're like, I feel like they're really putting them in difficult positions and exposing them to make it look like we're watching high school theater. You know, I love Braun Breaker. He feels real.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's the only one that feels real, right? Him and like the Creed brothers. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I
The
like,
Creed brothers are fine. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, all
And
right.
I love, you know, I have said before that I enjoy vignettes and I enjoy those things, but this is so much. It's a little bit too much of one thing. And I don't know if it's because folks are, you know, green in the ring and they thought maybe this would be better. I don't know. It's I'm having trouble connecting, but Braun Breaker I can connect with. He feels real.
Yeah, Legado del Fantasma, awesome. Those
Yeah,
guys feel real.
mhm,
Cameron Grimes, like I feel bad that like these really good three-dimensional authentic characters like Cameron Grimes and Kyle O'Reilly are being used right now as foils for far less developed characters. And I don't want to rag on Van Wagner because like he seems like a nice enough dude. He's getting a good reaction. He moves well for a
yeah.
big man, but like like this is your lot in NXT right now, Kyle O'Reilly. You
Yeah.
know, and same for Grimes is taking these ideas that are very two dimensional and like you have to please go out there and do this. Please get over these ideas right now.
It's clear that whatever folks saw in Kyle O'Reilly, they're done with him, and they are just gonna.
I feel like at one point he told him he's like, hey, what Adam did, I'm gonna do that. So do what you will for the next whatever 8 months or whatever on my contract because yeah, this ain't happening anymore. This is donezo.
Yeah,
So yeah, and the Duke's poker room stuff. I look, this probably is not a surprise to you or anyone else. I've spent a lot of time in poker rooms. I could be a degenerate gambler when I need to be, and I think I've talked about it at the show. There is nothing more boring than a poker table. It is not fun. Like it is. I mean, you can go watch Maverick. Maverick, great poker movie, right? You're like, wow, look how crazy poker is. Poker is the most boring thing you can do. I knew this thing was dead from the get. You're gonna sit there and quietly stare at each other? Come on now. Right? I mean, right? Right?
and I don't understand who is this for? Who is the program for? Is it for old people? Is it for young people? Who? I don't get it. I just don't
Yeah.
get it.
Well, here, the last thing I'm gonna say about NXT. So, what's the name of the new guy who did the Shawn Michaels dance?
Oh, it starts with an O,
Yeah,
not Onyx. It's
exactly. I don't even want to attempt it. Like, I see a bunch of symbols in my head when I try to pronounce this guy's name right now.
I mean, it's a very handsome guy.
Very handsome guy. So, if you want to
Yeah,
write it
great
down,
look.
hey, Zion,
Zion.
Zion, Xyon, Zion. Okay.
I guess we found that I'm dyslexic and I've
Yeah,
turned
thank you,
Zion into Onyx.
thank you, David. Thank you, David. Yeah, no, Shawn Michaels is there, and were they like ribbing Shawn? Did Shawn think? Because I can't think that Shawn would think this would be like a good idea or funny. Like this feels like Vince and Bruce are like, let's get one over on Shawn. We're gonna make the new guy do the sexy boy dance, just like Kurt. I don't know. It was bizarre, bizarre.
Yeah. And it also made him look so much less cool. Like he's such a cool looking dude. Why would you expose him that way? You know?
All right, Brian. Well, I want to thank you for talking all the news today. Top of the show with me. I want to thank Tom Lawler for taking some more time to talk with me. Tom is a free agent. He could pop up anywhere at any time. Maybe he's the replacement on Dynamite tonight. We hadn't even thrown that possibility out there. Could it be Filthy Tom taking on Orange Cassidy?
Yeah, there's a few Ring of Honor stars that are now available.
Yeah, well, Tom was not with ML. He was with our
Or
ML.
he was with MLW.
He was with
Yeah.
MLW, but you're right, and that's the thing. Is like I wanted to give him credit. Yeah, Gary Lyles wrote this earlier. Is there anyone from Ring of Honor big enough to pop the AEW crowd, but either lose to Orange Cassidy or advance to the final versus Brian. 2 names, right? One, Danhausen, who was unfortunately injured. Dude, worst possible time doing an indie. You're over like Grover. God, that one hurt. The other one would be PCO. I think the fans would freak out. Destro comes out, smashing the car battery cables together. Out comes the monster PCO to do some craziness with Orange Cassidy. I think they've actually worked together. I feel like they've worked together in like Black Label Pro or something like that.
I just got goosebumps, buddy. I love that. I love that idea. Yeah. Get TK on the phone. Get him up.
Tony, we're 2 hours from go time. Call up Destro. We have, by the way, Dave, time it back in, much like Doom Tribe T here saying Gresham. We also had Dalton Castle as possible subs to take on Orange Cassidy. Dalton Castle seems like a layup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Danny Cochran here. I would love to see Dalton Castle and Gresham too. I don't know that this is how I would roll out Gresham though. I think Gresham's got to be protected. I think if you bring him in, he's got to be like some kind of shooter type in his own space. I don't want to see him brought in to heat up an Orange Cassidy or I don't know. Like, I don't know that Gresham's right for this spot. Be my thought.
Maybe bring back Juventud.
Hoovy could be back. I see Al Slavinsky here. Slavinsky. OGK versus the Elite. Yeah, Matt Taven in the wings right now. Big Matt Taven fan. Mike Bennett, also OGK. I don't hate it. By the way, have you been drinking whiskey this whole show? What are you drinking?
I have. I have a little Buffalo Trace bourbon.
That's wonderful. Wow. Yeah. I love that it's a happy hour show. I only drink on Fridays because if I drank every day on the show at 5 p.m., I wouldn't do my job very well.
It's just a little finger of it. Nothing wacky.
No, that's good. Wow. I want to run and go get myself some bourbon right now. So that was a good group of names. Everybody from Ring of Honor that could possibly step in here, free agents. But the Twitter poll question from @WinkDaily was asking, who you think would be a good substitute for Moxley. I said Punk, 10, Kingston, or somebody else. 400 votes, 48% Punk, 24.5 Kingston, 18.4 other, 9.110, and then some write-ins here. Ultimately, who do you think would be the right person for this spot right now, BWO?
I feel like Punk, and then Kingston and Punk can have an issue. I think that's the fun of it.
Yeah, and it's very unlike Punk and AEW to do hints that they don't pay off, right? And so I feel like the call got made maybe because, like, again, maybe Mox was ready to put over Orange Cassidy and give Cassidy a real big moment. Who else can walk in Moxley's shoes and do that same thing? There's only so many guys, and Daniel Bryan's on the other side of these brackets. Is this the night we see CM Punk get issued his first loss in AEW?
And, even if Punk does defeat Cassidy, we've seen Punk Bryan before, but not like this. So that I feel like that's a fair match to put on TV and people will like it. And it's not like it's a once in a lifetime thing. We've already seen it. So yeah. It's not too far out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And by the way, Dave, complimenting you for getting in the happy hour spirit here on the new format of the show. I agree. I'm kind of jelly. You know what? And as much as I've enjoyed talking about AEW Dynamite, it's in the back of my mind right now. I really want to go get a finger of bourbon right now, which I don't have.
Yeah, just a touch.
So elsewhere on Dynamite tonight, Cody Andrade, right? I'm fascinated to see what happens with the reaction Cody gets. I have a post that's being made right now for the site. Tony Khan was on Observer Radio earlier. He compared Cody Rhodes to John Cena and said they get the same kind of polarizing reaction where, like, some fans really love John and some fans really hate Cody. How do you feel about Tony making that comparison, Brian?
Man, I wish I had a friend like Tony Khan.
I know, right?
That's a good pal. That's a good pal.
Cody's just like John, guys. Exactly the same. It's the same reaction. I don't think it's the same reaction, though. I think it's a very different polarization we're getting with Cody with John Cena. I hate to argue that,
Yeah. But you know what? This match is going to be awesome. Like jokes aside, you guys, Cody Andrade is going to. It's going to be so good. Like this is going to be such a good night of wrestling.
Well, and I would think Malachi Black, because he's been by Andrade's side, he's going to kind of maybe play into this. I thought it was interesting on Tony Khan's notebook. It was like Cody for Full Gear, Cody versus Miro, or it was Cody versus Black, Andrade or Miro. I think kind of a stable of former WWE guys with Black and Andrade and Miro maybe kind of starting to come together. Common enemy, like a Batman and his Legion of Supervillains kind of deal coming at Cody. I think that might be a direction we're headed right now.
I'd be down for it. They all are so cool, and they're all so evil. So I'm into it. We've never seen like Dungeon of Doom was a little cartoony. This would be a really rad Dungeon of Doom.
And Kenny Omega, Alan Angels, that's another match here tonight on Dynamite that should be really great. Awesome getting to see guys like Alan Angels, getting to have these dream matches with a guy like Kenny Omega. I will say again, there was another Tony Khan quote earlier this week where he was talking about how he doesn't want to burn through their top matches. And it's great to just kind of see guys paired off, top of the program guys, but throw them together, right? We don't need to give away all these big matches all the time. So getting to see kind of your mid lower card roster play with your upper card players, WWE really doesn't do a whole lot of that stuff. They prefer to go we're going to do big matches on repeat over and over and over again for multiple weeks at a time instead,
Except for T-Bar Damian Priest, which was so good. Dude, I love T-Bar Damian Priest.
Dude, give me more of that. That was really hot match. It was a banger of a match, slam banger.
It was so great to see T-Bar get some time, man. Everybody forgot that he's just so good. That guy, he had that 5-star match with Keith Lee, multiple 5-star matches with Keith Lee.
So we're going to wrap it up here for today. Danny Cochran taking us out here with Bourbon Pokemon Dancing with the Stars. Nick, you're a complicated man. Not really that complicated. I mean, I guess we're all a little complicated, right? Nobody's normal.
Yeah, but I think you're an eclectic fellow.
I think you're an eclectic fellow, B-Wo. B-Wo took me out to a warehouse one time, scared the crap out of me, and was like, this is how we party in LA. It was the most terrifying night of my entire life.
It wasn't an empty warehouse. It was a full warehouse.
There were a lot. Actually, you're right. There were a lot of people there, and it was a very wild experience for me. Yeah,
I wasn't the only. You were with Keith too. It's okay.
There were
we can out him.
I'm sorry. I'm Chicago, right? Chicago. We go to like a basement and we throw darts. What you guys do, LA parties, y'all are so complicated. You got to go to we got to go to a hut. Got to get a password to go and catch a car. It was a crazy night, man. That was wild.
Well, that's the thing is LA, the only way you can really have fun is when people tell you the secret places that the fun is actually at. Because everyone goes to LA and they're like, man, it sucks. And that's just because you're not invited. If you were invited, then you get to go to the fun stuff. You were invited.
I was invited. Yes, I appreciate that. So a longer story for another show, maybe a book. It was quite a time. So anyway, come on back tomorrow. We are going to have on tomorrow Paul Pratt, Polio Tomorrow, co-host, and we're going to have the full audio from the WWE Q3 investor call with Vince and Nick Khan and Steph. And for that reason, this show is actually going to start an hour earlier tomorrow. So 4 p.m. Eastern, come back because the investor call is at 5 p.m. Eastern. So right after the investor call is over, we're going to release the whole show, and there'll be posts on the site and coverage and all kinds of stuff. So a little earlier start time tomorrow with me and Paul, just as a reminder. And, of course, if you like Wrestling Inc. Daily, support WrestlingInc.com. We're on all your socials and support the Wrestling Podcast as well. It's like this show, but at night after the big shows, including tonight after Dynamite back here on Wrestling Inc.'s YouTube channel. And lastly, I need to push this more, but we are a legitimate top 50 pro wrestling podcast now, B-Wo, every week, right? But we need to do better than that now. And the way we do that, to put the coins in the machine, is iTunes reviews. So if you enjoy the show, you're a longtime listener, new listener, whatever it is, head over to our iTunes page. 5-star rating would be great. Little comment. Nick and B-Wo are great. That's all you really need to write, and that's how we judge the machine, everybody. So go leave an iTunes review. B-Wo, anything you want to put over before we wrap up today?
Oh, keep checking out my website for more stuff. I've got my podcast, My Favorite Friendship, and I'll be on the Try Guys channel not too long from now. So keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye out indeed, everybody. Well, I am at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.